ever see a Forever 21, an Auntie Anne's, and a Bath & Body Works store all in the same place, chances are you're at a mall. Malls were at one point the hallmark of North American consumerism, a symbol of youth, an emblem of modern life. But in the past few years, we've seen more and more malls die out. There's even an entire subreddit dedicated to dead malls. Seeing these places that were once filled with so much life become these desolate, abandoned dumps is honestly a little sad. You know, if I'm being honest, I'm feeling a little nostalgic for those days, checking out games I know I won't buy at GameStop, grabbing a sweet treat at Dippin' Dots, and spending endless hours with my mom shopping in JCPenney. So, let's look at some malls and video games. Now, you really can't talk about malls and video games without talking about Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. The track starts off at the entrance to the mall. As you make your way into the mall, you're greeted by one of the most signature parts of any mall, the escalators. One is going up and the other is going down, meaning if you aren't looking carefully, you can end up wasting your time trying to go up the down escalator. As you cruise through the inside, you can see a ton of shops on the sides of the track, like a cafe, an ice cream shop, and a grocery store. Of course, you've got another mall staple, the fountain, which you can do a trick over and possibly grab an item box. After riding down these cool looking steps with see-through holes, you make it to the Coconut Gardens, the outdoor portion of the mall. Here you get to really see how bright and tropical this place is. Eventually, you make your way back inside for a few seconds before jumping off of this crazy tall ramp into the parking lot. The most realistic part of this map is that the parking lot is the most annoying part of this track. You've got these three Miis just going back and forth for no reason in the parking lot. If you time it right, you can move past them and potentially get a burst of speed from one of the boost pads. After one last sharp turn, you finally finish the track. Coconut Mall has become one of the most iconic tracks in the Mario Kart series, showing up in every single Mario Kart game since its introduction in Mario Kart Wii. However, I still don't think any of its other appearances match up to the original. The version in Mario Kart 7 on 3DS adds arrows to the escalators, which makes it easier to see which direction they're going, and I think that kind of ruins the fun of the original. Before, you had to have keen eyes to see if the escalators were going up or down from a distance, which added a little bit of challenge. The Mario Kart 8 version added some cool stuff like a retro Super Mario Bros. Brick pattern in one of the stair sections, but it removed the cool looking stairs from the original and just makes them look like basic streets. This version also removed the escalators and just made them ramps. The version of Coconut Mall in Mario Kart Tour is basically just a lower fidelity version of the Mario Kart 8 version, but it does bring back the Miis and the moving cars from the original Wii version, so that is a plus. All in all though, Coconut Mall is a fantastic addition to the Mario Kart series. One series that has a much longer history of using malls in its games is Persona. The underground Shibuya Mall in Persona 5 has a ton of great accessories, like rings and necklaces you can use to buff your characters or protect them from attacks and status effects. This is also a great place you can go to engage in the tried and true act of buying people's love and affection with expensive gifts. This mall is visually really cool. I love all of the banners, lights, and decorations. What would otherwise be a pretty boring looking flea market is filled with modern flair. When it comes to malls and Persona games though, Paulownia Mall from Persona 3 is the first one I always think of. The fact that you can go here at night is a huge plus. There's a ton of stores you can go to, like a coffee shop where you can improve your charisma, a drugstore where you can buy healing items, and a police station where you can buy guns. The one thing that always pissed me off though was that you can't go into the music store. It's the one place that you can't choose to go into. Only certain social link hangouts let you stop inside. It would have been really cool if you could buy music from the music store and replace the songs that play in specific areas like the map theme or the Iwatodai dorm theme. Your character wears headphones. That's like one of the most iconic parts of his design, so it only makes sense that you'd be able to change the music that plays. Heck, you can already do this in Tartarus, since you can change the music that plays in the dungeon. But anyways, I have so many memories hanging out in Paulownia Mall, buying accessories from the jewelry shop, chilling in the club, and just talking to the people who are hanging out in the mall. Different people show up at different times and on different days, and over the course of the game's story, they'll talk about different things, even commenting on things that have happened in the story. You can talk to the various shop owners and they'll do the same thing. Little touches like these just really help the game seem alive and lived in. Okay, I think we've been having too much fun, so let's take a look at a less happy mall in Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain starts off in the house of Ethan Mars, an architect living with his wife Grace and 2 kids, Sean and Jason. Jason's birthday is today and he's turned 10 years old. After an intense sword fighting battle, Ethan and his family decide to go to a mall. Grace goes with Sean to buy shoes while Ethan hangs out with Jason. Ethan buys a balloon for Jason from a terrifying looking clown, but when he turns around after handing the clown the cash, Jason is gone. Thus begins one of the most infamous scenes in all of gaming history. Jason! 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 As you look for Jason in this crowded mall, you can repeatedly spam the X button to call Jason. And there's only like 3 different voice lines of Ethan calling Jason's name, so it gets really repetitive really quick. And what makes it even worse is that Ethan doesn't even sound all that concerned. Jason! Eventually, Ethan does track down Jason, but Jason, in his infinite wisdom, decides to run across the street without looking both ways first. A car nearly hits him, but luckily Ethan manages to shield Jason by jumping in front of the car and taking the blow. Somehow, even though Ethan managed to shield Jason, even though it looked like the car wasn't going any faster than like 30 miles per hour, even though you can hear the car slowing down before it hits Ethan, Jason ends up dying from the car accident. This unfortunately causes a rift in Ethan and Grace's marriage. They divorce, and somehow Ethan ends up living with Sean, who also has grown emotionally distant from Ethan in this rundown place in the middle of not Philadelphia. It's really easy to make fun of this game, from the uncanny models to the bad voice acting to how dumb the story could be at times, but this is honestly a really tragic scene. Losing your kid in a large crowd is a fear I'm sure plenty of parents have, and obviously your kid dying is just horrific. Heavy Rain has a lot of problems, but at the very least, in these opening scenes, it legitimately does have some moments of great cinematography, great art direction, as well as a big emotional gut punch. Alright, I think we should finish off this video on more of an upbeat note. There are a ton of great malls in gaming, from Alivel Mall in Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a desolate, abandoned mall which continues the tradition of dark lore in Kirby games, to Galaxy Toys in Kingdom Hearts 3, a super colorful toy-themed shopping mall that's an absolute blast to fly around in, not to mention being able to pilot these super cool mechs, to the classic North Point Mall from GTA Vice City in all of its low-quality JPEG glory. But without a doubt, the most iconic mall in all of gaming history is the Willamette Parkview Mall in Dead Rising. In Dead Rising, you play as Frank West, a photographer who's trapped inside of a zombie-infested mall. And now you have to survive for 72 hours until your helicopter pilot can come back and save you. While this mall might be swarming with deadheads, it's actually an insanely fun place to explore. There's all sorts of different places of interest, like a gym, a supermarket, and even an amusement park ride. But what makes the mall really fun is the vast amount of different weapons scattered around that you can use to rack up some zombie kills. Chainsaws, barbells, park benches, lawnmowers, even vehicles too, like bikes. And even if you're not the violent type, there's plenty of other stuff to do too. You can try on funny outfits to make Frank look like an idiot. There are tons of stores around the mall that each have different clothing items. You can also spend your time taking pictures. Before every game on the planet started including photo modes, this game came out swinging with its cool camera that you can use to take pictures of exciting moments. The more interesting the picture, the more points you get. I've been rambling on and on about this game, but I've yet to even mention the characters. So many of the characters in this game are these larger-than-life weirdos, especially the various psychopaths that you can meet in the mall, who are basically the bosses of this game. Some of the boss battles can be a little jank, but they're all super memorable. Then you've also got the many survivors scattered around the game. There are side quests in the game where you can rescue people in the mall by escorting them back to your safe room. Some of these guys can be pretty entertaining, but to be honest, it's a huge pain escorting these guys, especially when you've got multiple survivors following you. Oh right, I haven't even talked about the actual main story quests. They're pretty cool, but honestly, my favorite part about them is that you can fail them. If you don't succeed in a story mission, unlike other games, you don't get booted out of the game and are forced to try again. If you fail a story mission, the game just goes on. You can continue to goof off, rescue survivors, and do side quests until the 72 hours are up. When I first realized this, I was blown away. Dead Rising is just this awesome playground that you can mess around in. The mall itself is the perfect size too. It's big enough that it feels like a large sandbox to explore, but small enough that it isn't a total pain having to get around the place. I think more open world games should embrace having smaller worlds that are more densely packed with things to do. Going back and playing all of these games with mall levels just makes me remember what made malls in real life so great. Eating food, hanging out with friends and family, encountering strange people, getting a chance to actually buy stuff you want with your paycheck, and just having a good time.